Tinder. That's right, I was on Tinder for a while, and man, it was a time. There's some interesting characters on there for sure. Now you might be asking, Margaret, as a marginally attractive human with standards, what were you doing on Tinder? And that's a valid question. The summer of my 18th birthday, a friend of mine texted a group chat to describe an absolutely awful date she had just gone on with a guy she met on Tinder. We were intrigued, and so a bunch of us decided to get Tinder accounts to purposefully find terrible profiles, and man did we find them! My favorite one that I found was a guy who had a face covered in blood, his neck in a splint, he was missing 3 teeth, and he was smiling and taking a selfie while being wheeled into an ambulance. His bio said nothing but the word beer. I didn't swipe right. I also once ended up speaking to a guy who looked perfectly fine at first, but he wasn't. He really wasn't. His opening line was, "Hey, I just want you to know that I'm well aware that I'm smarter than you. I'm looking for a woman who understands her intellectual inferiority to men." And this, my dear viewers, is where I would like to introduce you to my personal favorite method of getting somebody who is being rude to stop talking to you while messaging them in the process. This method I've created is called the bean method. In this method, you stop typing words entirely. When you've decided you absolutely do not want to deal with this person anymore, well, you send them nothing but gifs of Mr. Bean until they do not answer you anymore. Don't send any words, just gifs. Here's how a conversation could potentially go.
Hey girl. What's up? What's all that about? What's your problem? Whatever.
If you're unfortunate enough to get someone who is extremely persistent, just make the gifts get weirder and weirder until they can't help but stop talking to you because they're extremely concerned for your sanity. It's basically foolproof. As long as you have the patience to see it through, I have never seen this method fail. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes a few days, but by the end of this, they probably aren't going to want to talk to you ever again. I actually had to use this recently. Here are the screenshots if you want to look. He stopped talking to me after this. Unfortunately, if the person ends up being weird in person and you don't want to go out on another date with them, you could always make it weird on purpose. I mean, you could just say, "Hey, this was great, but I don't want to go on another date." But sometimes you might need to make it weird on purpose. Don't overdo it, but you can definitely come across as obnoxious and weird in such a way that they'll never want to speak to you again. I used this tactic when I went on a double date with my friend Kara. Remember her from the fish video? Yeah, her. I used it on a double date with her and a guy she met online. He seemed alright enough on the internet, but when we got there, it was very clear that he was not her type. And by that, I mean he was incredibly awkward and didn't want to speak at all, which is completely incompatible with Kara, trust me. I knew that if I didn't take matters into my own hands, she would let this go on for far too long because she's far too nice, even when somebody isn't her type. She gave me permission to do this. So, we got Panda Express, and as soon as we sat down, the awkwardness set in. And you may not know this about me yet, but I have a gift. I can be awkward on purpose and make it seem real. So, throughout this entire date, I let my awkwardness shine through, and this guy was definitely thinking that Kara and her friends were not his type of people. I accomplished this by talking incessantly and leaving little room for fixing the awkwardness. There wasn't a second date. You can think I'm a terrible person for this, but at least he got to be like, I think we're good. At this point, you might be thinking, wait a minute, that wasn't a date you went on from Tinder. I want to hear a terrible story from a date that you went on. Well, unfortunately, I only went on dates with 2 people from Tinder before calling off that app for good. And I can't talk about the first guy because I really don't want to give him a reason to get in contact with me again. I have blocked him on all social media and multiple phone numbers, but he keeps finding me, and I'm kind of afraid that if I talk about him any more than this, he will find a way to contact me again, and trust me, I don't want that. But I will tell you about the other absolute weirdo I went on a date with that made me call off Tinder for good. I just couldn't deal with it anymore after this guy. So last fall, I matched with a guy. Let's call him Austin. Yeah. Austin and I really meshed well online, and he really intrigued me. He was into a lot of the same things as me, he seemed okay, and he was really sweet. 3 weeks after we started talking, when we finally decided to go on a date, it did not go great. We went on a date to a really good pizza place, and I was excited because I had been talking to this guy for a while, and I was really excited to meet him in person, but it was one of the most awkward dates I have ever been on. This guy didn't speak more than a few words over the course of the entire date. I kept trying to make conversation, but he just wasn't talking. Like, boy, I thought you liked me. We've been trying to plan this date for over 2 weeks. Come on. Ugh. He spent the entire date watching the sports game on the TV behind me. It was horribly awkward and overall did not go super great. I had to come to terms with the fact that he didn't like me and that this was just going to be a dead end. Yep. It turns out, though, that he was panicking inside and decided to say nothing because he was so afraid of saying something weird or messing up in some way because he really liked me. Which, boy, you are so lucky. I liked you, you awkward pigeon. And how do I know all of this? Because that was 1.5 years ago, and he told me that 4 months into dating him, and I guess I'll be dealing with our combined awkwardness for my whole life now, because in December, he asked me to be his wife. So that's that.
Would you look at that? Your girl finally put out another video. Sorry it's been so long. I had to learn a brand new animation program to make this, so if you noticed it's higher quality from the goldfish video, that's why. Thank you to It's Alex Clark for suggesting Toon Boom to me. It's been great. Also, thank you to my friend Ricky, who let me put her in there in the place of my friend who texted the group chat. Wasn't actually her, but I used her face. Also, I love her and she's great. Her link's in the description. Also, thanks to my friend Johnny, who voiced the creepy guy during the text conversation that was horrifying to animate, and I hate you. Just kidding, I love you. Also, thank you to my patrons, including Luke Hesterfire, who has been super patient while I was finishing this video because it took 4 freaking ever, and I feel so bad. But school is done now, and I'm really excited to keep making more videos because now I'm done. Your girl got an undergrad degree. Also, the Patreon is paused until September because I'm doing some revamping to my social media, and in September I'm moving to full-time illustration and design freelance work. I hope to put YouTube in there as well, so if you want to see me make more videos, it's actually really important that you support this channel. So right now, liking this and sharing it is the best possible way. Yep, that's it. I'm a pretty small channel, so if you like it, share it with your friends. Tell them to watch for the plot twist, because that was the best plot twist of my freaking life. And that's it. Drink some water and stay hydrated, my dudes. Okay, thanks, love you, bye.